Good to see you, everyone. My name is Robbie Howell, and I'm feeling the need to do a little improvised world building. See, if you haven't seen this show before, what I do is I take a set of 5 randomly generated words, a prompt that I have created, we'll be going into that shortly, and I give myself 10 minutes to come up with some sort of fantasy or fictional world building product based on those words and that prompt under the gun of time. From last episode, I want to bring up this comment from my friend and viewer Xenofect, who says that he liked where I took shorts, one of the words from the last improvised world building video, and he mentions the idea of shorts being like a slur for converts from the home religion or outside of the main civilizations, shortening their life in service to another. I loved this idea. I find that looking at slang and kind of common verbiage is a really interesting and thought-provoking way to go into world building, and does a really good job of making a world seem alive without having to put in a ton of work into fleshing out all sorts of details, because just the way people talk says so much about the way a society comports itself. So thank you very much, Xenofect, and for everyone else who commented. For today's prompt, we are going to be creating a hero. Following in my recent trend of trying to do improvised world building prompts that will be relatively approachable to kind of my main Age of Empires loving audience, today's prompt will be to create a historical figure in a Earth-like fictional world. And this hero will need to be someone who has shaped the history of a given nation that I will come up with on the spot as part of the prompt. But we're going to be focusing on the hero themselves rather than the society that they shaped. Though, of course, it's impossible to really separate the two, so we'll have to do a little bit of both. Before we dive into the words, as a little bit of a side thing, I've been thinking about trying to do one of these improvised world building videos live. I've done a couple of live streams thus far for Age of Empires contest stuff and recrafts, and I really liked it. And so it felt like a kind of a natural fit for this style of impromptu content. I mean, I'm already doing something on the fly anyways, and so I may as well do it in front of all you lovely people so that you can give me words live and you can tell me what you're coming up with live, and I think it could be a good time. So please let me know down in the comment section whether that would be something you'd like to see or would like to participate in. And without further ado, let's take a look at our random words. As per usual, we're going to be generating 5. And let's see what we get. Community, contribution, depend, insistence, and nest. Ooh. All right, well, there's a lot of easy ones here, just looking at it quickly. Now that those are all up the screen, let me go get my little stopwatch. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. 10 minutes on the clock. Okay, so we're coming up with a hero, community, so community and contribution are easy. They are, contributing to the... oh, my wire is in the way, as usual. Contributing to the community. That's very, very easy. Depend and insistence are also kind of intertwined. The depend is interesting, though. Someone their society depends on. That's actually quite interesting, because it means that they're not just they're a figure who's been there for a while, who's very important to that society. Insistence. Now, nest is interesting. Nest obviously makes me think of animals, and like a hive more explicitly. So we could have fighting off an animal hive menace. Like, we are talking about a plausible world here, and so I'm not going to do some like, oh, they're fighting off a sentient hive mind like the Zerg or anything like that, because I think that would kind of break the point of these videos a little bit too much. Nest. What else could nest be referring to? Well, it obviously has connotations of birds as well as bugs. So maybe they have like some sort of bird theming. Like Richard the Lionheart. He's lion-hearted, right? So maybe we could do something with a bird there. So depend is interesting, because it could be someone the society depends on, or it could be vice versa. Maybe it's the hero is someone who depends on the society. Insistence is interesting too. Insistence kind of makes me feel like some sort of religious focus, kind of like Martin Luther nailing his however many demands it was to that one church door. He's insisting on something that's important to him, but it doesn't have to be religious. It could, but it does kind of connote some sort of like rebel leader or insurgent of some type, because you don't really have to be insistent about something that's already the status quo. Okay, the contribution, community contribution depend. Okay, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing something bold here. So we have, we have community plus contribution plus depend. I'm going to say that this person was a beggar. They were a beggar, and so they were literally, but like a beloved one. So they were literally relying on people's goodwill to keep them alive. Or maybe more specifically, a mendicant or a monk of some kind. Because most monks they like rely on begging to actually stay alive while doing their religious asceticism, you know? And then insistence and nest. Okay, so if we are going with a religious context, insistence is a lot easier. Nest is the sticking point. Okay. All right. I think I'm ready to actually put something together. We're going to say that this was a relatively minor figure in a niche up and coming religion. Let's say that what if the religion had a focus on birds or like bird iconography? Because nest plus community plus contribution all kind of pull together to make some sort of like we're all in it together sort of deal. Let's say the religion is, I like the idea of something to do with birds and leaving the nest here. What if it was a religion whose main symbol is the eagles are overdone. It's such a good bird. Kestrel. Let's do the kestrel. Like a seabird, predator, but like high parental care. Motif of the fiercely nurturing parent birds feeding the babies and protecting them while they learn to fly. So because of this religion is quite militant and like really emphasizes like a self-sufficiency after you have been like maybe ordained or maybe have like gone beyond the initial convert level. Yeah, I know that this is the second time we're doing something with religion in a row in one of these videos, but I love talking about religion. It's one of my absolute favorite subjects, and as such, it tends to come up a lot in my personal improvised world building and world building in general. Okay, so I quite like that. A militant religion is very fun and interesting. And so let's say that this dude was, let's say he was one of the most like, he put himself out there a lot. So he was one of the most visible early preachers of this religion. I gotta come up with a name for this religion. And he was like heavily persecuted by the established religious orders of the region, but won the hearts and minds of many, including non-converts, for like taking no shit. And let's say plus the status quo was like getting kind of corrupt and complacent at this point in history. Like the people were ready for a change when he came around, right? And I like the idea of calling, yeah, let's say that a new inductee to this religion is a fledgling, right? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, depend, insistence, nest. So because of this, he was penniless, and obviously he was constantly persecuted, and so he was like always on the run, banned from everywhere, and so relied completely on kindness of strangers, so like donations. Built up a ragtag, like a freedom fighter force that was like heavily romanticized and mythologized in retrospect by later generations that came, kind of like Robin Hood. They look back and be like, oh yeah, he was so cool, he was so awesome, doing the good thing for the good people. And like he probably tried to like earned goodwill through like heroic deeds for the common man. You know, I'm definitely getting kind of a Robin Hood vibe based on this, especially community contribution insistence. You know what I mean? And it fits the kind of religious profile that we're bringing. I keep saying he. This does feel like a male leader, because you don't usually see like these sort of female insurgents, but it's not that it never happened. So maybe it would even make sense more if it was a woman who was leading this. Because if we're going with like the nest theme, then the female bird on the nest, you know what I mean? Let's actually make the commitment here. Let's say that she was a young woman, and she is the mother kestrel here, who is like protecting her fledglings and helping them learn to fly. Like, obviously, you see Joan of Arc mythologized in similar ways. Okay, I'm running out of time here, so we got to come up with names. We're going to come up with her name, and we're going to come up with the religion name. Okay, so it's a seaside area if they're using kestrels as theming. I keep getting kind of an Indian coast feel when I look at this. YAV feels right. Yavedha. Yavedthi. No, that is not right. Yavetha. That's probably the best I got. And religion. High Nest. Okay, I can't do any more. We are finished. We're out of time. Not super happy with that name, but I think we came up with something pretty cool here. Let's do a brief little overview. Get my timer out of the way. So, this hero was a relatively minor figure in this kind of niche up-and-coming religion within her home society. This religion is all about kind of self-sufficiency and kind of fiercely claiming autonomy through your own hard work and effort as you learn to fly and you leave the nest to become a full-fledged, self-sufficient, out there battling the wind and elements kestrel of your own. Her name was Yavetha, and while she was in her early stages of fame, she was one of the most outspoken members of this religion, constantly persecuted, but quickly earned the goodwill of the common people around, even non-converts, through many well-publicized acts of charity and common decency, as well as the fact that a lot of people really didn't like the status quo that existed at the time. And so because of this, she developed a reputation enough so that people were very willing to give her stuff just because it was her, and also started to create a guerrilla army of devout, militant converts who would go around with her, helping the common people and being given charity and goodwill in return, as she was kind of founding her place as this religious freedom fighter. And her exploits are now, in retrospect, looked on with a lot of rose-tinted glasses, painting her as pretty much an impeccable hero, a Robin Hood type figure in the face of unabashed corruption and indolence. Okay, I like the name Yavetha. That's very nice, and it sounds nice and unique. I think that this is a pretty cool build. I'm reasonably happy with how it came out with. I'm not actually happy with the words because many of them were so easy and like obvious that they didn't spin me off in any really creative directions. I think that there were a couple of things I really pulled out of my ass here, like I think that focusing on kestrels specifically was a bit random, and it was mostly just because like eagles are overdone. And I think kestrels are a cool bird. And that kind of led me to more of a coastal society, which made me start to think of southern India. I have no idea why. I don't even know if kestrels are native to South India. And I think that the kind of freedom fighting religious zealot, effectively, is a pretty well-established trope that I think is relatively plausible in terms of having a long-term impact on a given country's culture and history. So I'm reasonably happy with this one. If I came up with this one on in like a game session or something, I'd be very happy to commit to it. I'm gonna give this one a C+. It was okay. It definitely could have been better, though there were a couple of high points, I would say. But that's just what I think. Now I want to hear what you guys think. How did you like what I came up with this set of words? And more importantly, what did you come to? This is a really flexible set of words, and I feel like there's a lot of directions I could have gone here. I went with something more swashbuckling and exciting. I think my mind tends to go there because often when I'm hosting game sessions, people are in it for swashbuckling and excitement, you know? So I tend to come up with more action hero type plots and people, just because that's what most people who are coming to me for games are looking for. They want something exciting and action oriented, but I could see many people coming to a completely different conclusion that is frankly equally or even more valid. So please let me know what you think down below in the comments. As always, I hope that you have enjoyed. And also remember to let me know whether you think an improvised world building live stream would actually be something you might be interested in catching. I'm more and more tempted, and frankly, the only reason I wouldn't do it is if there wasn't sufficient interest. So if you are interested, make sure to make your voice heard. And as always, my name is Robbie Howell, and ciao for now.